All right, Mr. Barry Bateman is a spokesperson for the Afriforum Private Prosecution, and he joins us now to further unpack this recent development. Barry, it's such a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome to SA Today. So briefly take us through your plan of action as Afriforum in pursuing this matter further in getting justice for the slain Emmanuel Mbense and his family. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Well, our first step, we've written to the director of the Independent Police Investigating Directorate, and we have asked for, first off, a comprehensive update on where the case stands at the moment, because the family of Emmanuel Mbense has been asking for answers for nearly 3 years, and they kept being told by the police and IPID that we're still investigating and arrests are imminent. Well, we know this hasn't happened, so we're asking for that comprehensive update, but we also want an explanation for why after 3 years, there hasn't been any development. We know from the evidence of Mr. van der Merwe that he was talking to IPID as far back as July 2022. And early in 2023, he had already conducted a pointing out of the crime scene and where Mr. Mbense's body was dumped. So you have to ask, you have a witness who himself says he was a 204 witness. In other words, he was prepared to incriminate himself in a criminal trial if he testifies for the state. So Mr. van der Merwe admitted to being part of the torture. He admitted to being there when a man was murdered, and he admitted to dumping somebody's body in a dam. You've got that person who is available to testify, yet IPID doesn't bring this matter to conclusion and doesn't ensure that it gets enrolled. Well, we want answers. So do the family.
You know, Barry, I'm glad that you bring that aspect up of the case having been in the state hands and there's been seemingly no action, right? But are you able to share with us at this stage, even in the slightest detail, so as not to impede on your case and investigation, if the state had ever even at least registered this case or pursued any form of investigation at the time of the murder? We understand, according to Advocate Harinel, that the delays in apparent inaction, I'm quoting him verbatim here, suggest that somehow law enforcement officials may be even shielding the accused from accountability. You also inquired as to why the witnesses that testified publicly weren't even immediately arrested. Same question we're currently grappling with. Names of all those alleged to be involved in this are now public knowledge. Why is there no action by the state?
You ask the right questions, and it's the questions we're asking as well, because we only got onto this matter 4 days after Mr. van der Merwe testified. We were approached by Mr. Mbense's family because they were alerted that morning. Now, you must understand, for 3 years, you don't hear from the authorities. You don't have the details of how your brother, your father died. But you get called that morning by an IPID investigator saying, expect some details to emerge at the Madlanga Commission. And the family listens in. They hear for the first time how their loved one was basically asphyxiated using a method called tubing, murdered and dumped in a dam. That's how a victim's family finds out the details. So we're new onto this matter. We were briefed a few weeks ago, 4 days after Mr. van der Merwe testified. So the answers you're seeking are the answers we're also trying to seek. And the family doesn't have any more than was actually put in public by Mr. van der Merwe. So our goal, the immediate short term, is to ask those questions, get the update, but that very important one, why haven't these people been arrested and appeared in court when you had a Section 204 witness prepared to incriminate himself as well as others to ensure accountability?
Barry, I mean, talk to us briefly about the prospects of success in your prosecution of this matter. And of course, especially in light of evidence that is also in the public domain now, right? And if you will also be able or to be extending your services to the family of witness D, should of course they require it at this stage.
Well, we're not doing any prosecution, nor are we investigating. We represent the family of Mr. Mbense, and we represent them to try and get answers to ensure that there's accountability for the murder of this man. So we won't be doing any prosecutions, but we will make available the family of Mr. Mbense to support the police in their investigations to assure accountability. We wouldn't be representing Mr. van der Merwe. Our office, as a matter of course, don't represent accused persons, people accused of committing crimes. We don't do defense. And in the case of Mr. van der Merwe, he would have been a 204 witness. So in this case, we're representing the victim of the conduct of the police on that night in April 2022.
A very quick one, Barry. You said earlier on that you have been in communication and asked IPID for correspondence. Any response from them at this stage? What can you share with us?
Not to us, but what I can tell you is that we sent the letter to IPID's head yesterday afternoon. Within hours, an investigator called Mr. Mbense's brother and said to him what has been told to them all through these years, that the investigation is almost complete and arrests are imminent. So we haven't had the response, but the family certainly has from IPID. It appears that they at least got our letter.
All right, Barry, thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. That is Mr. Barry Bateman, the spokesperson for Afriforum, as they pursue the private prosecution in the death of shop owner Emmanuel Mbense, identified by Witness D at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.